We're going to move now to the United States, where ice cream maker Ben & Jerry is striking back against its corporate parent, Unilever. The Vermont-based company, known for its progressive politics, last year announced that it would be banning any sale of its products in Israel's West Bank settlements, saying that doing so is inconsistent with our values for Ben & Jerry's ice cream to be sold in the occupied Palestinian territory. Now, Unilever, a multinational consumer brands company, came under intense public pressure over that decision, and last week announced that it sold the entire Israeli operation and trademark of Ben & Jerry's here to the local franchisee Avi Zinger, enabling him to continue selling the ice cream in the West Bank, I'll bet only under its Hebrew and Arabic names. But now Ben & Jerry's has filed suit against Unilever in the New York District Court to block that deal with Zinger, claiming that doing so is, quote, essential to protecting the brand and social integrity that Ben & Jerry's has spent decades building. Well, joining us now from Washington is Alyza Lewin, president of the Louis D. Brandeis Center for Human Rights Under Law and one of the lawyers for Avi Zinger. And Alyza, let's specify, this is not a lawsuit against Avi Zinger, it's against Unilever, but it would certainly impact your client. So first of all, did you expect this kind of response from Ben & Jerry's in reaction to that deal with Avi Zinger?
Look, it was clear from the statements that were made last July that that both the parent company Unilever and the independent board were not in complete sync. But the bottom line is that what Unilever has done in terms of the agreement that it struck with Avi Zinger last week was the right thing to do. And they are going to forcefully defend that agreement in this case. And Avi Zinger welcomes that.
Let me ask you something sort of on a point of law there. I guess there might be two approaches here. One is, I guess Ben & Jerry's could say that Unilever is just violating our contractual agreement with them, the autonomy that we had when we agreed to be bought out by them. But I guess the other is the action of boycott in Israel, whether that the court will consider the morality or even maybe the legality of Ben & Jerry's boycotting parts of Israel, or at least the West Bank, the settlements in the West Bank.
Well, that was the theory of the lawsuit that we brought on behalf of Avi Zinger a few months ago, which was that what Ben & Jerry's, the independent board, was demanding was that Avi Zinger violate both Israeli and American law by discriminating against individuals, both Israelis and Palestinians who would live over the Green Line. And under Israeli law and under American law, that's unlawful. He couldn't do that. And it's when he said, no, he can't do that, that then they announced that they would refuse to renew his license. You have to realize Avi's been doing this now for almost 35 years. He has been the manufacturer and distributor of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. He has personified the Ben & Jerry's social mission. He is that embodiment of those values in everything that he's done and all of the programs that he's worked on. And now what Unilever did, to its credit, is say, Avi, you absolutely have the ability and the right and should continue to manufacture and sell the Ben & Jerry's ice cream throughout the area, throughout Israel, Judea, Samaria, to everyone, to Arabs, to Israelis, to Jews, to Muslims, to Christians, to Palestinians, to everyone. And that's what they enabled him to do. And you're right, that is one of the issues that could be coming up now in this case.
Well, how confident are you that the U.S. courts would support Unilever here and not, for example, decide on on a contractual technicality in favor of Ben & Jerry's?
Unilever, as far as we're concerned, Unilever's in the right. Unilever is now arm in arm with Avi Zinger. They're standing for what's, as I have said, is what's morally correct, what's socially just, and what is the principled path. And so I would hope that any court in the U.S. would recognize that and would agree with that.
How important would that be as a legal precedent in terms of the overall BDS struggle and saying perhaps warning other companies of the legal consequences of following the BDS line?
Well, I think that this whole situation has been a warning to other companies that they should see that BDS doesn't pay. That BDS, quite frankly, is just a very negative, divisive rhetoric that doesn't actually support the people that it claims to want to help, right? Avi Zinger has done more with his concrete actions, with his programs that he has developed and that he has supported, that have brought Palestinian and Israeli students together, that's really helped develop relationships and coexistence and cooperation, whereas BDS and, quite frankly, the independent board, they've done nothing but spew negative rhetoric. It's Avi Zinger and his concrete action, not the BDS anti-normalization, that will lead to peace, and that should be recognized internationally. And I think companies should recognize that, and they should realize that the way to go is to follow Unilever's model.
All right. Well, certainly this will be an interesting case, and it'll be closely followed, of course, there in the U.S. and, of course, here in Israel as well. And we'll have to see how it turns out. Alyza Lewin, president of the Louis D. Brandeis Center for Human Rights Under Law, thank you for joining us on I-24 News.
Thank you very much.